This is Rick Rule for Rule Investment Media, sponsors of the 2024 Natural Resources Investment Symposium, July 7 through 11, either in Boca Raton, Florida live, or in the comfort and convenience of your own home via live stream. Whether you attend live or whether you attend live stream, a couple things to recognize. One, we're going to present so much high quality, high value programming in 60 hours that you won't be able to absorb it in the 4 days that comprise the conference. To that end, conference recordings will be available so that you can absorb the material at your leisure over time, which I encourage you to do. Separately, every speaker and every exhibitor at the conference has been personally vetted by me. If they're public company exhibitors, they are owned in my accounts or in accounts managed and or owned by myself. While my ownership is no guarantee that stock goes up, it is a guarantee that unlike any other investment conference on the planet, every single public company exhibitor has been vetted. Every service provider has been vetted too by me. I have to have a commercial relationship with them and I have to have no customer complaints associated with them during my entire career. The point of these interviews is to familiarize my audience with the goods and services available through the conference so that our attendees, in fact, our entire community, can learn more about the exhibitors and the speakers before the conference, reach out to them, determine who they would like to spend more time with at the conference so that they can allocate their time and their capital more efficiently. And to that end, today, I have the great pleasure of interviewing a man that I have been friends with and a business associate of for a very long time. In fact, Peter was oddly my boss during my period of time, or I should say our period of time at Sprott. He was the CEO, and he was, in fact, the one who added me to the Sprott fold. I have known Peter all the way back to his being a very young man, founding Newcrest Capital, and ultimately selling it to the Toronto Dominion Bank. He has a new venture, which we'll talk about today. But Peter, thank you for 30 years of business association. And thank you, too, for your ongoing sponsorship of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium and our boot camps.
Well, Rick, thank you for that warm introduction, and it's been a delight to have been mentored by you, to have been your boss. Thank you for that, and also your partner, and I think most importantly now, a co-investor.
So SCP was, of course, your firm, the former
Yes.
Sprott Capital Partners. You guys did a management buyout, bought the business from Sprott. Tell me what makes SCP unique today, or rather tell our audience. I already know what makes SCP.
Yeah.
By the way, disclosure of conflicts of interest. I'm a client of SCP.
No, thanks for the opportunity, Rick. SCP is the only, to my knowledge, global investment bank that's focused exclusively on mining. And we have dealer licenses in North America. We have an FCA relationship in London, and we're able to do business in Australia. So we do cover all of the major jurisdictions and time zones. And I think that's important for our clients. It's important for finding the best deposits and the best teams to work on them. And also on strategic advice, where a lot of our companies are based in one or more jurisdictions, but investing in something entirely different. The focus exclusively on mining means we have a large technical team. And that technical team is really what steers our firm to what we hope to do as our mission, which is to uncover the world's emerging deposits that will be successfully mined.
What has struck me about as being critically important about SCP is the way you led off the interview, which is to say that you're not specifically an Australian dealer or a Canadian dealer or a London dealer. In fact, that you have the ability to bring best of breed deposit to the attention of investors, irrespective of domicile. Could you talk to that a bit?
Yeah, so we all know capital markets ebb and flow, and increasingly, I think they ebb and flow in different jurisdictions at different times. For instance, the Australian market has really led the junior sector in the last 2 or 3 years, but that wasn't always the case. So I think it's essential that our sales force, and whether we're talking about corporates and investment bankers or whether we're talking about institutions and where they invest, be able to notice those trends and take advantage of them. So we want to do deals that will fly in whatever market we're able to successfully place them in and achieve the objective of our clients. Also, the teams themselves are very spread out. You've got everything between Perth and Toronto. For those who don't know, basically different poles of the Earth. If you could, you can't get much further apart than those two centers.
Let's look a little bit at the top of the team, which is to say you. Tell us how you came to be. Tell us about your career path. Tell us about some of your partners and mentors like Eric Sprott. And tell us, too, about your natural resource relationships, as an example, the World Gold Council and Agnico Eagle.
Sure. Well, I started as a gold commodities, futures, and options trader. I came exclusively from a financial background. I completed my MBA, and then I worked on a mining specific team with RBC in Canada. And I moved to Vancouver to do that because that's where the emerging mining companies were, many of them were based. I grew up in the business with a lot of growth and junior success stories, including the Lundins and many other of our brethren that really were starting in those Vancouver markets in 1990, 1988, 1992. That's where I met Eric Sprott, and I joined Eric in 1993. Eric was certainly one of my key mentors, and as well got to meet a lot of the big investors in the sector, including some of the families that have been there for decades, and that was really my background. And starting Newcrest was part of my journey. Starting an independent dealer on my own, I think, taught me a lot of things about how to handle clients and how to handle the business from start to finish. Finally, to wrap it up, Eric hired me again in 2010 to head up Sprott Asset Management. And that's where I really wanted to learn, as you know, Rick, the investing side of the business.
I think it's important to note that in addition to running SCP, and in addition to having that resume, you are a director both of Agnico Eagle and the World Gold Council. Am I correct in that memory?
Yes, I've been personally covering Agnico since 1994, I believe. So I've known Sean and his excellent team for such a long period of time, and I was honored when Kirkland Lakes sold or merged with them to come on as a director, and also to continue to serve on the World Gold Council, whose mission I believe in a big way, since I believe it was 2019 or so.
Now, Peter, it seems to me, and this is anecdotal because it's my own experience, it seems to me as though there's been almost a sea change in sentiment around precious metals, around base metals, and increasingly around mining equities in the last 90 to 120 days. It would seem that they have gone from at least unloved, perhaps hated, to being looked at in a much more positive light. Can you talk to me about, first of all, whether or not you think that is accurate? Secondly, whether you think it's justified, and probably most importantly, what that change means both for investors and issuers.
Well, it's a great observation, and I do think that we've slowly been building ourselves into a very healthy commodity bull market in mining minerals. Gold and silver, for instance, have had a very good performance for the last year. Equities trailed that, and it seems like it always flows downhill. It starts with the commodities themselves and slowly begins to impact the large cap equities. And we've yet to see it have much of an impact on the smaller cap equities, such as many of those at your conference. So I think it's moving in the right direction. It's flowing the right way. I would describe the rallies of the large cap mining equities as being quite substantial over the last 6 months, probably 40 to 50% for many of them. And I think that was more associated, that catch up was more associated with the fact that the free cash flow finally started to show up. It took a long time. It took a long time for the industry first to fix its balance sheets, which it did probably 5 to 8 years ago, and then to fix the fact that they were digesting a lot higher corporate costs, operational costs, capex. So it took a while to work through that backlog, and I finally think it started to happen in the last year.
Peter, I want to talk to you about one other project that's only sort of a bit related to SCP. You have been really for 10 years involved in technologies around facilitating the return of gold to its proper utilization, which is to say, as a medium of exchange. You caused me and yourself and Eric to be shareholders of Glint, as an example, an early part of that technology. But today you seem to be involved in a much more thoroughgoing technology. Perhaps you could describe a bit about what it is that you are involved in there.
Sure. Well, the name of the venture is Argo Digital Gold, and it is a partnership between myself and Eric Sprott and his family and Sprott Money. It will be a dealer and an investment house around the digitization of gold and silver. It is happening, and it's happening quite slowly and thoughtfully, that the world's gold vaults will digitize, meaning back their gold with a digital ledger on the blockchain, and that this is expected to result in efficiencies that were not previously possible. You'll be able to have your name on a bar of gold and to move it from location to location by, instead of redeeming it and physically moving it on a 747 or in a suitcase to a new location, by using a co-location token. And I think this will take a while to show itself fully to clients, but for starters, we'll have lower spreads, 24/7 trading, the ability to hold your gold at previously unachievable levels of efficiency for an individual. So it's finally going to become not just a store of value, but money. And I think that's a really important transition, especially for younger, smaller household investors, as well as for large institutions.
I personally look forward to the reestablishment of gold as a medium of exchange, not merely as a store of value. Peter, in the time we have left, if people in the conference community would like to know more about SCP, either as a dealer or, if they're Canadian, as an individual investor, how might they find out more about SCP, and who might they find that out from?
So SCP is SCP Resource Finance. We have a website which can easily be found. There is an info@SCP email there that can easily be hit. The head of our private client business, so for personal investors, is John Waldy. He covers high net worth personal investors and family offices. And I think for the issuer side, for banking opportunities, somebody could easily contact me, and I will pass it along to the right banker. So that's P. Grosskopf at scp-rf.com.
Peter, thank you for 30 years of friendship, 30 years of partnership. And thank you in this context for your ongoing support of the Natural Resources Investment Symposium and our boot camps. It'll be a pleasure to host you in Boca.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the best conferences in the industry, and it's very unique. So thank you, Rick.
Thank you.